Football's back, boys. And it's oh so good. I'm a little drunk, and welcome to the weekly Giggity. Let's get started, shall we?
Watching the weekly Giggity, baby, it's the weekly Giggity.
Week 1 is in the books, and we're off and running. Big names put up big numbers, and nobody really put up a stinker this week. Good start, everybody. Oh yeah, Kevin and Corey picked Indy in their Survivor too. Might as well start off with that. Anyway, let's get to some news and notes.
News and notes!
The big news around the league is that Saints wide receiver Michael Thomas is expected to miss several weeks with a high ankle sprain. Though Ferralis does have depth at the wide receiver position, there's no right way to spin this for our former champ. Jets running back Le'Veon Bell has been placed on the IR with a hamstring injury. Thanos himself, Frank Gore, is expected to be the lead back in the coming weeks, though the Jets have signed one of Corey's boner-inspired backs in Kalen Ballage. Bell's going down is definitely a blow to Kevin and his lack of depth at running back, though the return of Miles Sanders is a bright spot for our beer bitch. George Kittle did not practice yet this week with a knee injury, but is expected to play in the weekend in New York against the Jets. Fellow Niner Richard Sherman has been placed on IR with a strained calf. Chris Godwin has landed himself in concussion protocol, and with a gimpy Devontae Parker, Tony's wide receiver core is extremely limited. Marlon Mack will miss the remainder of the 2020 season with a ruptured Achilles. Ugh. This bodes well for Areola in the second overall pick and Jonathan Taylor in Indy. Blake Jarwin will also miss the rest of the year with a torn ACL. I don't really care about that, and I don't think you do either. Maybe Slater, for 2 reasons. Kenny Galladay is still not practicing with a hamstring injury, and Philip Lindsay is dealing with day-to-day turf toe. Now let's get to the gridiron gala side of this news. Brandon Ayuk, Laviska Shenault, and Darius Slayton have all been called out this past week from the taxi designation to the big leagues. All original owners elected to keep their investments. The real big news here is Gomez going fucking ham and cheese on the waivers. He spent a fucking mind-boggling $38 on Malcolm Brown, the LA Rams running back. He also threw out $10 on the Colts third down back Nyheim Hines. Other notables were Benny Snell at $7 to Kevin, Jameson Crowder at $4 to Slater, and Marquez Valdez-Scantling at $3 to, guess who? Gomez. Now let's get into the weekly recap. Week 1. Slater versus Jason. Slater's studs really showed up, led by Zeke Elliott putting up 24 on Sunday night. Deshaun and Julio also put up big and expected numbers, but the real gem here was first overall pick Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who got 25 carries for 138 yards and a touchdown. Believe it or not, the CEH is the early rushing leader right now. One thing to take away from this matchup is that Jason put up 93 points without a single touchdown scored from his position players. It's crazy. If a couple of guys could have scored and Philly not take a shit, and Jason could have topped the high score of the weekend Slater. Final score, 115-93, Slater. Surprising start. This matchup seemed like both lineups were obvious starts, so I guess I would have to go with Devin Singletary here. With the hype on Zach Moss during camp, I wouldn't have been surprised to see Jason bench Singletary in favor of his longtime lover, Jarvis Landry. The shocker here is obvious. Saquon Barkley only getting 6 rush yards Monday night against the Steel Curtain. I mean, it's pretty shocking that Bobo's team couldn't get in the end zone at all, but I feel like I could have ran for more than 6 yards. What the fuck? Match 2, Kevin versus Gomez. Viva Las Vegas! Josh Jacobs scoring 3 times with 139 total yards. The second-year back looked like a stud against the Panthers. Besides a fumble, Melvin Gordon looked comfortable in the Denver offense Monday night and could see an increased role in the pass game with Philip Lindsay hurting. Aside from Mark Andrews and Robert Woods, Kevin's beer bitch squad looked like a wet, steamy pile of dog shit. There is some upside when Sutton and Sanders can get back, but don't hurt your neck looking for it. Gomez blows the beer bitch away 104-75. Surprising start. Even though it wouldn't have really helped, I'm surprised Kevin didn't go with Matt Stafford over the rookie Joe Burrow. I suppose no Galladay could have been a factor, but it's still a gutsy move. The shocker here is that the Ravens defense put up a whopping 18 points. Cleveland beat Baltimore last year, but seemed to have no effect on that Ravens secondary. Match 3, Corey versus Norm. Devontae Adams and Josh Allen is about all that looked right for Norm. His supporting cast struggled to put up points, including Kittle, Beckham, and James Conner, who ended up putting up a fucking 0. Corey's team looked strong as expected, with big games from Kyler Murray, Dalvin, and DK. And Corey, I'm sorry about John. You're right, he looked pretty good. Corey wins this one 114-80. Surprising start. There's really nothing here. These guys started the obvious guys. Maybe Nor could have gone with Aaron Rodgers over Allen, but that's nitpicking. The obvious shocker here is James Conner putting up a goose egg against a suspect Giants defense. He did leave the game with an injury, but he did get 8 touches and couldn't put up a single point. Jordan Howard also had 8 carries for 7 yards. Yikes, Nor. Match 4, Ferralis versus Sam, in the shootout of the week. Sam got off to an early start on Thursday night with 3 players totaling 37 points. But a big fourth quarter for Adam Thielen was the difference in this matchup. As Sam's team was more consistent throughout the lineup, he couldn't get past Russell's 29 and Thielen's 25, which made up for Michael Thomas and Mark Ingram only combining for 3 points. A struggling Joe Mixon and Niners D cost Sam the W this week. Final score 100-90 for Ferralis. Surprising start. I know a lot of people are high on him, but Terry McLaurin has one of the worst quarterbacks thrown. I'm surprised Sam didn't go with DJ Chark or Calvin Ridley here. He would have won him the week, putting up 25 points. The shocker here is Michael Thomas. I know he got hurt, but it was later in the game and he only had 3 catches for 17 yards. I mean, those are first drive numbers for the target machine that he is. Lucky for Mike, he has some depth at wide receiver. Match 5, Ariel versus Tony. Not the slugfest I expected, but still a decent match. Despite the goose egg from Ingram and the Vikings defense dropping -6. Mike still put up 100 points. Big games from McCaffrey, Mostert, and Juju were anchors for Nipple this week. Tony's running backs also put up big numbers, keeping him in the game, but poor quarterback play and mediocre wide receivers were his downfall. Nipple takes the W, 100-87. Surprising start. Carson Wentz over Dak Prescott proved to be a mistake for Tony here. With an injury-riddled Philly offense and prior suctitude, this was a bonehead play. Although I don't think anybody saw the Washington defense getting 8 sacks, 2 picks, and a fumble recovery. Evan Ingram getting 2 catches for only 9 yards is shocking to me. He's a proven red zone weapon and was targeted 7 times in this game. He did have a big catch called back for OPI, but also had some drops in this one. Well, that does it for this week's recap. Now let's get into some upcoming matchups. Up and coming.
Matchups.
Well, I was 3 for 5 last week on my picks, missing out on Sam and Tony. Fucking idiots. Let's see what I got this week. Now it's week 2, and we have an idea of what these rosters can actually do. A ton of injuries and second guessing can make or break anyone this week, so let's get into it. Match 1, Battle of the Alexes, Gomez versus Slater. A couple of guys with strong starts to the season, Gomez and the Wolf of Waller Street will travel to I don't know where to battle Slater in his top-scoring Monty and Clyde lineup. Melvin Gordon seeing an increased role with a turf-toe Lindsey, and Adrian Peterson putting up strong numbers with his first game in Detroit are a great sign for the meat from Waller Street. With Monty and Hayden Hurst having plus matchups this week, it's possible for Tishy to put up another monster score. This could be a potential slugfest, but for now the projected score is 101-110 in favor of Slater. Gomez's running backs have a tough going this week, even after bolstering them in the blind bid. And it's hard to imagine Baltimore defense putting up 15 against Deshaun Watson and the Texans. Slater's roster has talent and the matchups to take this victory. I'm going to go with the favorite here, pick Slater. Match 2, Tony versus Corey. Tony faces off against yet another juggernaut in the gala this week. As is They See Me Rolling, Dick Slayton will travel to yet another undisclosed location to take on Corey's. Is that a chub? Nah, it's just my dick. DK dick. Tony could be in real trouble here if Godwin was unable to go against the Panthers this week. Though the same could be said for Corey and Kenny Galladay. Both squads have heavy hitters at running back, so the real difference maker could be at quarterback or maybe even the defenses. This is the closest projected match of the week at 100 to 101 in favor of Corey. Both teams have their share of good matchups and some uphill battles. It might really depend on if either top-ranked wide receiver will suit up this week. I don't know, it's kind of too close to call. I mean, I guess I gotta go with Tony on this one. Match 3. Nor versus Kevin. I said it last week, but Gomez kind of surprised me, so I'm gonna say it again this week. What a dumpster fire of a matchup here. Nor and Leon the Professional will go to Who the Hell Cares to take on our Beer Bitch and his Beer Bitch squad. With a questionable James Conner and a fragile Miles Sanders, the running backs are make it or break it in this contest. Both squads' running back depth is similar to a colonoscopy. Not that much. So whoever gets the sneaky big play could come out on top this week. If Kittle can't make it out there Sunday, then Nor is in real trouble, having dropped TJ Hawkinson earlier this year. Gallup projects this contest at 88 to 80, Nor. I think Connor will play this weekend, but I still find it a sketchy start. Seeing that Nor's 2 running backs last week totaled 16 rushing yards, he knows he has to make a change. Nor definitely has the quarterback advantage here and could really use an early home run with OBJ on Thursday night. Though I like Kevin's touchdown opportunity as wide receivers, I'm going to go with Kevin this week. Match 4. The Battle of the Mikes. Ferralis versus Areola. Another slugfest on deck here as the Mikes go ham in this week in what should be a fantasy shootout. Ferralis and his Lamb of God will go to Mike's place to take on It's Juju, baby. With the injury to Michael Thomas, Ferralis is already climbing uphill to catch Areola. Both teams are loaded with heavy hitters and quarterbacks that can put up monster weeks. This week may depend on whether Ferralis starts Danger Russ or Matty Ice. Projections here are 105 to 110 in favor of Areola. Mahomes has a favorable division matchup against the Chargers with a banged-up Joey Bosa, and Ferralis has a decision to make at his quarterback and wide receiver too. Both teams put up an even 100 last week, making this another difficult pick to make. Juju looks like his old self with Big Ben in their center, which is huge for Areola moving forward. I'm going to go with Areola here. Now match 5, Sam versus Jason. The commissioner will travel to the stick this weekend, but as John Matrix wants you to blow off some steam, hashtag make Corey draft again, up against Jason, the Duke of Henry. Jason will be looking to get in the end zone this weekend and put up a monster score against his fearless leader. Sam should expect a bounce back week from Joe Mixon on Thursday night against a suspect Browns defense. Bobo boasts a better lineup and is predicted to beat Sam 118 to 104. Jason's team is destined to get a few touchdowns this week, and I bet my third nut that Saquon gets more than 10 yards rushing. With Lamar and Henry having juicy matchups, it'll be difficult for Sam to overcome this week. I'm going to be going with Jason to take down the commish. Well, that does it for the upcoming matchups. It's the weekly power rankings! It's the weekly power rankings! Okay, so I don't want to be biased here. So, the rankings this year are going to be listed from the Gridiron Gala's power rankings. This is according to the website. This is in no way my opinion. Okay? Or else they'd be differently. Number 10, Kevin Walma. With an injury-riddled wide receiver core and suspect depth at running back, Kevin finds himself in a familiar spot at the bottom of the standings. If he can't make a move soon and get back to his amazing managerial decisions that got him 2 rings, we might have our first true back-to-back beer bitch. Number 9, Noor Sandu. Possible injuries to James Conner and George Kittle are exactly what Noor doesn't need right now. Another squad with basically no running back depth. Noor needs to make something happen to get him back up in the standings. Luckily, his quarterback play can make up for the fucked up running back room that he has. Number 8, Tony Funston. A strong running back core doesn't make up for stupid decisions and struggling wide receivers. Tony needs to do a better job with his start-sit decisions and streaming a defense. Activating touchdown machine Darius Slayton may be the saving piece here. Number 7, Jason Vercees. Jason still has a loaded roster anchored by Lamar Jackson. He falls this low due to his loss to Slater and the inability to get in the end zone last week. Jason did have a lineup efficiency of 97.9%. He should see himself rise in the rankings in the coming weeks. Number 6, Sam Nix. Even though Jason outscored Sam and made the better decisions, Sam is in the 6th spot because of his bench. He had 92 bench points and could have won with the decision to start Calvin Ridley. He had the lowest start efficiency at 73.2%. Sam can use some help at running back. And the Knicks Coliseum might be the place to shop if you're looking for a wide receiver. Number 5, Michael Ferralis. Our champ finds himself in the middle of the rankings, but has to be smart with the highest ranked player, Michael Thomas, likely out for several weeks. With strong quarterbacks and good depth all around, Mike could easily stay in the top half of the standings. Number 4, Mike Areola. Mike put up a strong week 1 while also leaving big points on the bench. This speaks to his depth throughout the roster, and with Marlon Mack out of the picture, his first round pick and Jonathan Taylor is primed to take on a big load. Number 3, Alex Gomez. I don't know if Gomez belongs in the 3 spot, but with Josh Jacobs putting up the highest score of the week and a strong Baltimore D, he finds himself near the top. AP looks promising in Detroit, and Melvin could see more work as well. As long as his wide receivers show up, G-Money can stay here for a while. Number 2, Corey Hart. As we've seen last year, and with most of his team returning, Corey can put up a monster number on any given week. If Kyler can continue to put up big numbers and Kenny Galladay get back on the field, Corey is definitely a force to be reckoned with. That just leaves number 1, Alex Slater. The high score of the week and a 98.3% start efficiency, Slater finds himself at the top of the Gridiron Gala Summit. Julio dealing with an injury could affect him this week, in which case one of his 3 rookie wide receivers might get the start. The strong base of Deshaun, Zeke, and a promising CEH look good for Tishy in the future though. Well, that about does it for us here at Fun One Studios. May your weekend be blessed with touchdowns and titties. I'm looking for a wide receiver. And for the weekly Giggity, I'll see you next week. In case you were wondering.